everybody, welcome to the TRICHOMES Hash It Out podcast. I am your host, RJ Balde. In this episode, I'll be talking to Mieko Perez about what it means to be a warrior mom. We'll also talk about her son's experience with autism and medical cannabis, her advocacy for autism awareness and cannabis equity for people of color, and much more. Without further ado, it's time to hash it out. My guest today is a healthcare ambassador for CannaSafe Analytics Labs, board member of NORML's Women's Alliance, cannabis advocate, and self-described warrior mom. Welcome to the show, Mieko Perez. How's it going?
Thank you. It's going good. It's going great.
Good. Now, I understand right before we started recording here, you were getting text messages from doctors. Everyone's trying to hit you up. So I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me today and sit down and hash it out a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm on borrowed time 24 hours a day, but anytime that I can hash it out, count me in.
I dig it. Yeah, and totally. And like I said before we recorded here, if there's anything that you feel you need to decompress, feel free. This is a safe space, but I will warn you that everything is on the record. So keep that in mind.
Right.
Confession session. Yeah. That'll be the after show. That's the after show of Hash It Out, is the confession session. No doubt. Now, I understand that you say that you are you're a cannabis advocate, but you aren't necessarily a cannabis user in your personal life. And that's very interesting. I haven't had the opportunity yet to speak to someone who sort of has that sort of perspective. So just tell me more about what that means to you.
So when I entered this space in 2009, it was for my son, Joey, who was diagnosed with autism and was given 6 months to live with the medications associated with treating autism. I just remember having to have him cleared for a procedure, and he was 42 pounds. And at the time I was a legal secretary. I'm still a legal secretary. And my son just ended up being my biggest case. Now, my entire life I've had to be responsible. I've had to not only, help my siblings, take care of my siblings, but I've always, I've been in the legal industry since I was 18 years old, and I've always had to be on the straight and narrow, and I've always, I live in a very conservative part of Orange County, California, and I had so much. I was really interested in going to law school. And so that meant I was a nerd. I guess that's the easy way to answer that one. I love research. I love data. When my son became one of my biggest cases, I entered this arena where my first introductions into this space was with Lester Greenspoon and Ed Rosenthal and Jorge Cervantes and Kyle, Fishman and Aaron and Tyler from Buds and Roses and the Emerald Triangle. I entered this space and I remember touring, speaking, being a part of this really eclectic group of men. And for me to be able to even talk about how I was in this, and I know the guys would ask me, "Are you sure you're not a consumer?" And I said, "No, I'm sure." And not until I met Dr. Robert Melamede, it came full circle, and I said, "I know why now I'm not a consumer." I obviously produce enough cannabinoids, so I have no interest.
Right. Sure.
The real secret is I'm a rum drinker. So we drink. So if rum and Vic can't fix it, then so it was pretty interesting. I definitely, I laugh, when I look back at those humble beginnings of having I had a scientist contact me from Massachusetts early on, and he said, I'm doing a presentation at the Copenhagen conference in Denmark, and I'm using your son as one of my presentations, and DNA genetics sent them to you, sent me to you. And I said, DNA genetics? He
Mm-hmm.
goes, we had no idea that that was Don and Aaron. That's DNA. So
Uh,
in the early beginnings, in 2009, it was the beginning of the cannabis landscape that we see today. Um,
mm-hmm.
which was it was absolutely I'm very grateful to have entered this space with some amazing people.
Sure, sure. Now, you mentioned that you are you're born and raised in Orange County, California?
Yeah. And
Okay,
I think
okay.
I did Fox News, and my attorney looked at me and said, you're definitely from Orange County. And I said,
Oh, for
yeah.
real?
Well, I was raised pro-life. And as far as I'm
Sure.
concerned, cannabis and helping my son to continue to thrive and be healthy was a pro-life decision. So I never
Mm.
had to think twice. And when I was met with any type of conflict, as a non-consumer and as a parent inside of the autism community, we don't care what
Mm-hmm.
it is. We just want our
Right.
child to smile, and we want our child to be a productive citizen and be able to,
Right.
get through the many days and nights. And so, yeah, it was quite interesting. I have
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still, according to everyone, I'm still very conservative, but cannabis it helped me keep my son here a few more
Mm-hmm.
years longer than what was um, given to him. And so, um,
Sure.
I can say in so many ways, cannabis gave not only my home life, but it helped me give families all across the world life.
Mm-hmm.
I started to realize that as I did tour early on with this eclectic group, that there was a child like Joey and a mom like me in every city, state in America,
Sure.
and
Sure.
the navigation part of it has become quite the mission for me.
I see. Now, coming from a relatively conservative community as well, I'm originally from the Midwest, from Michigan, this rural farm town where it was like me and 5 other brown kids, and we just had each other's backs growing up. And it was a pretty conservative part of the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I understand that you said that you're from a conservative family. It includes extended family. You have 3 pastors in your extended family, numerous uncles in the LAPD, some in the narcotics division. You have a firefighter brother. So, what was it like? How did your family react to you considering cannabis as a treatment for Joey? And how did they react when you kind of went public about your cannabis advocacy?
Well, that's a loaded question. What I can tell you was, ah, what I can, ah,
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
Oh, you're okay. I
Had
still
a
see you.
screen pop up.
Oh, that's okay.
What I can tell you is that when I was able to get the research, when I was able to find a paper that was written by Dr. Bernard Remlin, which is the founder of the
Mm-hmm.
Autism Society of America, and he had written a paper on medical marijuana, the value it could, valuable for persons on the spectrum, valuable treatment
Mm-hmm.
option. And so, as a legal secretary, I knew how to prepare a case. and knew how to prepare the documentation that I needed to walk into my son's medical team and medical appointment. And so I had already made the decision before I got there. I was just hoping and praying that I had provided his medical team with enough information to do this with me. And so I was very gracious when that doctor said, we have to do something because we're all watching Joey wither away. And so the second conversation I had was as I sent family members out an email. And I sent them an email, and it wasn't about getting a reply. It was about, this is what I'm about to do. And, when you have a child who's on the spectrum that has behavioral issues, who is, number one, just a lot of work, families like myself, we've already distanced ourselves from our families. And so it wasn't so much that they were coming over and they had real input. They had no idea what was going on in my home. I still have conversations with my dad about some of the sacrifices that I had to make in order to make sure that he was well taken care of. And so the understanding that I hope that they would have gotten from receiving a very heartfelt email was that I didn't want to see my son pass away. I didn't want to see my son die. I didn't want to see my son. And I knew that there was something that I could do, but if I can just try and gain a little bit of hope through cannabis, then that's it. That's what I'm doing. And so I would imagine they all today know who I am and what I've done and how I continue to remain the person I was the first day that I went on Good Morning America. I'm just a regular autism mom that wants to do what's best for their child. And I had a doctor contact me a couple of days ago who just said, no one's in a hurry to take your post in the cannabis industry. It's a very hard and difficult job that you do. And so I get it. I do a job that many are not really understanding the dynamics in our homes. And I get it. And until we can get this squared away, I think I'll still be here.
Yeah. And, I think, of course, there are countless amounts of moms and parents out there who can relate to that point of view where when it comes to your children, you just want to see them smile. You just want to do what you can to ensure their quality of life and their security and safety and well-being while they're here on Earth. And so tell me about the effects and the progress that you saw in Joey after using cannabis as a treatment, and how did you go about finding the right products or the right methodology that worked for Joey?
So now as a healthcare ambassador, I look back and my son gave me a crash course that I didn't see coming. And this industry, you're able to get a lot of input from a patient or a consumer. My son was nonverbal.
Sure.
So I had to become some sort of whisperer and really use senses that now today are very valuable when I consult with families. And so when I started with some genetics from DNA Genetics. They were able to, that was one of, I used their LA Confidential, and I made brownies because my son loved brownies. And within time, I was introduced into Aaron Justice from Buds and Roses and Tyler and also Kyle Cushman and Shiloh Massive and a few others from the Emerald Triangle. And they immediately came in and we started critiquing strains, and I would provide my input and they would give me their input. And so it was, at the time in 2009, only thing that we had was edibles. And so there was no regulation at that time, so we were really kind of the wild, wild west. But I was just beyond grateful that the industry had welcomed me in and also had stepped up to the plate. So, that every time I write a new blog, everyone says, oh, my son has a circle of uncles. And, that I call them Joey's undocumented circle of uncles, because these guys, I could have never been where I am today. And Joey, at the age of 9 years old, started experiencing life. He really, we went from having an emergency IUP plan to him receiving a letter from the White House, from Obama on his, how well that he had progressed, and, receiving congressional recognition for my work, working with children on the spectrum. And, in so many ways, cannabis has, given me life as well. And so, I've been pay it forward since day one. I really only wanted to help one family.
Yeah, and it just takes one, to create that ripple effect that resonates with eventually thousands of people who are experiencing similar things and are looking for a similar solution, just like yourself. And what fascinates me about you is you, like you said, you always feel like you're on borrowed time, because from what I gathered from you, you do not stop. Like you are,
The
Go ahead.
the true reason for that is, and I know autism parents all over the world, we all know this. We could run 10 countries in our slippers. Having a child on the spectrum prepares you to do the unmanageable. Autism helps you find your strength. Autism helps you find your sanity, and helps, and you're able to juggle more than the average. I don't think I do, anything. And, I just take a couple of phone calls here, but autism has taught me time management in a way that I don't think there's any app that can do so. I think,
right.
Time management app is nothing on a parent diagnosed, with a child diagnosed with autism. And so when Joey passed away 2 years ago, he left me with a full schedule. His training, his crash course, and the little intricate details that he taught me on how to customize CBD to your own body, your own endocannabinoid system, and these little, how to dose correctly and how to read and hear. He taught me how to listen, and that listening plays a very, very key part in when I do consult and when I sit down with healthcare professionals. And so the product navigation is a piece of cake. Sure. Now we're in 2020 and there's products, you have your topicals, you have your, you name it, it's on the market. My job now is really finding the most appropriate starting point. We are here in California, and your patient or the consumer that you're working with is going to walk into a dispensary at some point. And so I'm finding a lot of private healthcare providers who are now sending their patients to me And when I tell them I'm not 21, I'm actually 47 years old and I had a child on the spectrum and I should look like I'm 200. They want to know the secret. And so I said, well, not only is it CBD moisturizer, but it's I enjoy what I do. I enjoy what I do. And I also think that this is clearly a part of my purpose. I had to choose between law school and taking care of my son. And so the compromise was opening up an attorney service, which I still have today. And that has allowed for me to intervene in child protective service cases. We're still in a catch-22 with families choosing this treatment option. The marijuana laws have not caught up to the child negligence laws. So we are finding, and I'm quite busy with just helping vet out families and to really push forward in some type of educational amendment to some of these medical marijuana bills in which patients or families that have children under the age of 18, have some type of guidance, and so I'm definitely, I think that is next, is creating the guidelines, hopefully with an organization I'm in talks with now, with being able to provide families with a little bit more navigation, because there is a catch-22. And I totally get it.
Right.
As a woman of color, it was very important that I entered this space and did things right. I wasn't so much with, I needed to do everything. I needed to make sure that other families that look like me were able to have the same opportunity. And I can tell you, with the many calls that I receive, I'm not available from 7 a.m. to noon every day, just so I can take on calls from legal counsel.
Wow.
And mostly because of, the dynamics in our home are very, very complicated. So finding a product is a piece of cake. The navigation is, and then the educational component is really the most important part moving forward. And so working as a healthcare ambassador for CannaSafe, they are gonna hang in there with me and help me push this forward.
Well, it's up to them to keep up with you then. That's their task.
Yeah. It's this, I didn't enter this space without help. And I didn't enter this space without the enormous amount of, help from each and every, who picks up the phone and talks to Lester Greenspoon? I did.
Right?
My son was one of the first children to be placed on Kush magazine. I've been such the first of everything. And today I still have people that say, you just got here. Oh my God, let me tell you. And I go, I hate to tell people I've been here since 2009. So I'm hoping that Hash It Out will be very instrumental in making sure that other families of color and just families in general know that there is an advocate that speaks the same language as they do. I recently got a call from a prime minister, and he stated the same thing. He said, we researched for over 6 months and we only found you. And I thought that could not be right. But it is cannabis and autism. I understand that it is very, very, very sensitive, and it's very, and although there are products out for children on the spectrum, we come with multiple conversations. We are a loaded family. But once, and so I definitely, hoping my son, I thought he set me up for retirement, and that's just not his plan. So I will continue to,
The work continues.
yeah, he held up his end of the deal, and now it's my turn. And
Totally.
so, yeah,
Totally.
it gets pretty interesting sometimes, but I honestly, I really, really enjoy what I do.
Good. Well, and I can definitely tell that by, first of all, by the hard work that you put in and day out, and really walking the walk, and putting actions behind your words. That certainly shines through. So you mentioned that Joey, your son, he was given a distinct honor of being acknowledged by former President Obama for his educational progress.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in asking you about how you see the incoming administration that is taking place in January. What are you hoping to see for the future of cannabis legalization on a federal level? And what do you see are the key components, the essential aspects to implementing legalization properly and in an equitable manner?
No one told you I don't answer political questions? I'm just kidding.
No one told me that. No one. That was not on the rider. That was not on the rider.
So I typically don't. But I do think, and I'll give it to you briefly and very narrow.
Sure, yeah.
I think
sure.
federal regulation, I hope, is coming down the pipeline. I definitely stand behind that federal regulation because it is one of the major issues I have with special needs families, and also, every disclaimer that I put or have to say, it says until further federal laws are passed. And so I will stand behind any federal law legalization because I do know that it's best for not only our families, but also for patients in general. And so I am 100% a patient advocate. I definitely get it, with adult use. I think it has its place as well. But when you, now I think we're at a place where I never thought that I would even say federal legalization is coming upon us. But I actually definitely welcome it. And I welcome it because I want to be able to, really support special needs families and much, without the red tape, and
sure.
So that's my take on it. I welcome any incoming president or cabinet that's going to come in and embrace the cannabis community and embrace the framework that California and Colorado and multiple other states have known for decades, that not only will give our economic landscape a rebirth, but it also is good for the health and well-being of man.
Sure. Yeah, totally. That was a good political answer, I would say. I don't think you've upset anyone with that one, but we'll wait for the tweets and the letters.
Yeah. Don't get me started. But I am a special needs. I am an autism mom, and I can never lose sight of that.
Totally. And so I mentioned at the top of the show that you describe yourself as a warrior mom, as an autism warrior mom. And we mentioned before we started recording that you have so many roles. Like the intro, the 2-second intro that I did for you does not do your resume justice. You, in addition to what I said, You are a scientific advisor for cannabis science,
Or I was.
co-founder of the or you were
Yeah.
co-founder of the Unconventional Foundation for Autism. So many things.
And
Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
the UFRA.org was initially started as a foundation, and 2 years after that we were a foundation, I turned it into an informational hub. My son was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and at the advice of my legal counsel, they said, this is embedded everywhere, and this is how families can find you. So I did do that. I have yet to go back to the website because I still think that I'm in somewhat of a grieving process.
Sure.
Having Joey pass away 2 years ago, and so it's eventually I'll get there. But
Sure.
I've had quite a few roles. I have perspectives that not all, typically when you come in this industry, you do one job. Well, as a healthcare ambassador, I work with consumers. I work with healthcare professionals. I work with dispensaries. I work with the companies that are developing the products. And, I have a very unique, and so for me, it's like putting the pie together. And so when you have, sitting down with healthcare providers and listening. So as I listen, it's become very instrumental in how I consult for a company or with healthcare providers on products that I see that are in the best interest of consumers. And so it's a very a awesome space to be in, but it's also a responsibility. I'm not I'm on the weekends and when I'm you get doctors who call you and say, I just have one question. And so it's
Is it really always just one question though?
No, it's never one question. But I enjoy it. I enjoy being able to be a solid resource and to be able to have that many perspectives. Any team that I decided I want to, consult for, I have all of those perspectives, and now I have CannaSafe.
Right.
So
on top of everything.
Yeah. So, I maybe I should just call myself the unbiased queen because
I like that. I like that.
When you have that many perspectives, and there's just and there's one validation after another, you become a fan of good products, of analytics that are on point. You become an advocate for physicians who are skeptical. You become, and so it has, that is me. That is Joey's mom. I've embodied so many different perspectives to be able to help consumers with consumer safety and protection, starting with one of the most difficult medical conditions to date, autism and nonverbal children. And so, when I do have patients that are referred to have a consult with me, or it's really interesting, and they come to me with complicated, diagnosis, and I go, piece of cake. Let me tell you about autism. Let me tell you about. And so I'm actually able to relate on so many levels.
Yeah.
Being in the same place that typically consumers are when they decide that they want to walk into a dispensary. They're at the same place I was in 2009 when I had to make the same decision. So it is an honor to be able to do the job that I do today.
I love that. It's never-ending work. It's hard work, and it certainly takes an inexhaustible amount of passion and real love for what you're doing to do what you are doing. And so I am just I'm overcome with gratitude for you know, the opportunity to listen to your story and the work that you're doing and the real passion that you bring for it is it's inspiring, really. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you know, you said that your son Joey passed away in April of 2018, so that's a relatively recent loss. And so I just offer my heartfelt condolences for you in dealing with that, for you and your entire family. And I am so grateful for you to be willing to share this story, you know, that is obviously the most personal story in your life with me today is an immense honor. And I sincerely I thank you for being willing to share that experience with others, because like you said, there are countless amounts of people who are looking for this kind of guidance. And for you to make yourself available as a resource of experience and professional advice and wisdom is it's a massive undertaking, and it's not for the faint of heart.
Right.
I just put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. As my phone rings.
We got that doctor on the phone.
Yeah.
I just have one question for you,
Yeah.
Mieko. Do you have
But
do you have like an hour and a half?
yeah, or two. I had a call a couple of weeks ago from a family, and some days I do second guess myself, like, why am I still here? What am I doing here? What's next? And I am reminded, and it's almost like my son sends me a reminder family. As soon as I start doubting myself. And I had a family that had a child that was reluctant to speak. And I worked with this family for a couple of months. And they said, okay, we're ready, for a follow-up call. And the follow-up call, the father got on the phone and thanked me, the mother and the sister. God, I had no idea I was having a phone call with the entire family. And then their son got on the phone, who never would speak, to tell me thank you. And to tell him,
Wow.
Joey saved my life.
Wow.
And it's moments like that keep me going and keep me on the straight and narrow, and keep me in a place in which I never get too far ahead of myself. There were days where I came home and said, Joey, we did this and we did that. And he just wanted a cup of juice. That, what he gave me, is probably one of the reasons why I'm still here, is because I've never, it's just a part of my job. It's just a part of what I do. And that phone call struck me, because I really, I talk to a lot of moms. I don't talk to a lot of fathers.
Sure.
And so when the father was able, the father spoke, I wasn't expecting that call. I was not expecting for the entire family to get on the phone and say thank you. And so I do know that the initiative that I'm working on with CannaSafe regarding guidance for families is overdue. So even if legalization does not push forward, or whether it does, we need to have some type of guidance provision to give to families, because I am only one person. And, there are so many special education composite of laws with confidentiality. And these are things that most advocates would not be aware of. And these are the things that I live by, because I know it's more important for me to be able to walk into a courtroom or attend courtroom Zoom court to make sure families, especially families of color, are not, they don't think that this is a privileged treatment option. So,
Right.
I plan on being here for a few more minutes. But I am, that call a couple of weeks ago did really kind of make me feel a certain way. Like I have to stay here until this is done.
Right. Right. That's such a beautiful story. And yeah, I can only imagine the amount of gratitude you must have felt in that moment to get direct feedback from the people that you are helping out there, and to receive that, that reciprocity of thanks, and complete that circle it's a beautiful thing. It's incredibly moving and incredibly touching. And as someone who has also recently dealt with the loss of a very close family member just a few years ago, it's also inspiring to hear that your son Joey, even after he has completed his experience here on Earth, he continues to be with you and to get you out of bed every day and to get you moving and to get you motivated, because that is something that I certainly draw from every day to keep me putting one foot in front of the other, as uphill as the battle may seem on a day-to-day basis. So I'd like to ask you what what inspiration do you draw from Joey that keeps you moving, and what is one of your favorite memories of him that you will carry with you throughout your life?
Wow. There's so many. I think that I have a circle of trust that other people, I used to get phone calls and say, "Oh my God, Mieko, Kyle Cushman? Oh my God, you're so cool. Oh my God," as a non-consumer, this is absolutely hilarious. I would walk into dispensaries and they'd go, "Yeah, something's going on with the inventory. It's not me. It's not me." So,
Right.
it, you know, there's not really one in particular, because I think every day, or maybe there is one, and probably the most important one, and that is to pay it forward and remain humble. I, again, as happy as I was walking into my door, and sometimes like, "Oh my God, Joey, we bought a house. Oh my God, Joey, we did this and we did that, and we did it." And he didn't care. He didn't care. He kept me in the most humble space ever. But and some days, I miss that. I miss having him to distract me so I can focus on what I really need to focus on. What he has given me a gift that I could never ever repay him for. He's given me life, and I think you know, a lot of people that I speak with, they say, Mieko, you're always serious. You're always this. And because I don't want to lose sight of how I got here and why I'm here.
Sure.
So that's very important to me, but also to be able to give back. And so, you know, I do go back to Puerto Rico quite often. My family's from Puerto Rico. I have family on the island. You know, we have some physicians in our family. And so I go back and I give back. I give back and I do consults there and I do what I'm supposed to do. And that is never lose sight of why I'm here and how I got here, and not just get behind one product, but get behind great products, get behind, continue to keep your integrity, continue to, you know, fun for me is collecting data. So I've accepted that I'm a nerd, and I've accepted that this is my place. I love, you know, troubleshooting, and I love creating and developing. And he's, because of the dynamics in our home, Joey has been able to give me that life. I haven't been on a schedule since 1999. I haven't clocked into any job since 1999, and so what was hard back then is not hard today. It's actually every family that I speak with, I let them know how grateful I am, because speaking with them heals me. And when I speak to consumers that have been referred by their healthcare providers, I remind them that their doctor's oath is fucking awesome and they're honoring it. You know, I really love physicians who get it. And the opportunities that I have had are no accident. You know, this is what you see is what you get with me. And I just want to do the best that I can to represent not only my family, but represent the families that look like me.
I love that. I love that. And you said you love data, you love analytics, and we love you for it. We love you for putting the work in. You know, I know you have probably a bunch of doctors waiting for you to respond to their calls and texts right now. So I'm just going to ask you one more thing before I let you go. In a High Times article, you said, what's up?
You know what it is? It's the physicians blog. So let me just, the new physicians blog I just started with CannaSafe. I just did it because I wanted to get input, whether it was like unbiased, whether you agree or disagree. I just want to get your input. So now, you know, we're like 9 doctors deep, right? And so now I'm having other doctors saying, well, why didn't you ask me? Well, what's going on with you? I'm thinking, I'm trying to, you know, I don't know. You know, doctors, sometimes they want to be involved, sometimes they don't want to be involved. So I've just been really conservative in how I ask them. And so it's really funny because I'm getting emails and texts, and they're like, well, we want to be involved. So, and it's hard because you're I love sharing what I've created, and I love, you know, CannaSafe for giving me the opportunity, but it's pretty comical. So as you are, I just want to make sure they're calling me because you know, has it been published yet? Has it been published?
Mieko, I'm sitting here refreshing the page and nothing is showing up.
Yeah, you know, and I honestly started that because, okay, when COVID started, we're like, okay, I'm no longer in the hospitals. I'm a healthcare ambassador. Things have gotten a little tricky. I said, but you know what? Let me just start this, you know, physicians blog. I'll come up with some questions and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We've had some pretty amazing physicians. I don't know if you saw our last one, but we had the response has been overwhelming. So yeah, so they're all
I
calling
love
because
that.
they want to know if their blog has been published yet.
I love that. I mean, that kind of leads into what my question was going to be, because
Okay.
I read an article that featured you on High Times where you said, once you save one life, it becomes contagious. So my question was just going to be what you have planned for the rest of the year and what you're looking forward to going forward. So that's exciting to hear that you've launched the Physicians blog. Do you have
Yeah.
anything else in the works?
Yeah, I have quite a few. So again, let me just make this perfectly clear. So now that the COVID is
Yes.
here, I've decided, and I'm not a writer. I'm a question person. Like, oh, okay, but I don't do like the live questions. I do like, these are well thought out questions. It's taken me a minute.
Yeah.
I really want to. So I decided doing blogs for other websites, and now I'm almost really cool. Like now, um,
Okay.
when I just did a blog on some cultivators from Colombia, and people are like, "Well, how do you know them?" Because people know Joey's mom. They don't know behind the scenes Joey. And so I said, "No, these are actually Joey's another set of Joey's undocumented uncles." And so everyone is just going, "What?" And when one of the reasons why I'm even at CannaSafe has to do with Steep Hill Labs. One,
Mm-hmm.
I've been for consumer safety and protection since day one. And one of my biggest cheerleaders and my fans has been Addison Demora, the original Steep Hill. And so I'm now able to share all of these relationships and show the connection and show how far and how long I've been here. And so the CannaSafe is like physicians, and this is what we're doing. And then I do a couple of other blogs, which really show the personality and the person you see today. And I'm not only an autism advocate, I'm a healthcare advocate, but I also have been very fortunate and very grateful to have entered this industry with some amazing people that have, amazing stories to tell. And so moving forward, I didn't think I was a writer, but I know how to dictate questions very well. Answer questions and
Sure.
and so it's I think I did a blog on AZ and the rapper from New York, and it's gotten like kind of interesting. A couple of nights ago, I did an interview with Mac Mall, some rapper from the Bay.
Yeah. Okay.
And a lot of
Okay.
people don't know, because I've been Joey's mom. My background is I'm not only a nerd, but I'm a hip hop head. So when I'm
Yeah.
on the phone or when I'm speaking with some of these guys, it's actually my comfort zone. So it's like
Yeah, that's what's up.
that little piece that no one knows about Joey's mom is, what kept her, up writing pleadings and doing is the music she played while she was doing all of these jobs and all of these. It's now it's come full circle. And that's why I have a smile on my face. And that's why I don't regret anything. I'm grateful for everything.
Well, Mieko, I'm so grateful for you sharing this perspective with me. I'm honestly, it's such an immense honor for you to be willing to share your personal journey, share with me what you're doing in the world of advocacy and the work you're doing with autism and people of color, and making sure that people have access to this treatment for these conditions that can really better their standard of living. And I just it's such an honor to get to speak to you and to hear your story. And thank you so much for being so generous with your time and joining me today. I sincerely appreciate it, and I hope that you continue to be well, and please continue the good work, and hopefully sometime down the line we can hash it out again for what do we call it? A confession session, if you will.
Session. Yeah. That is what we call it in my house, a confession session.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
But thank you as well. This will be one of the first, I think, interviews where people start really knowing who I am and knowing the why, and why I'm here, and why my bio is very unique. And it is because I've had a very, very unique, but also given a gift. And the gift is to stay in this industry and stay here until my job is done.
Well, and we thank you so much for it. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask you about this stuff, and for being so generous with your answers. Thank you again a million times and a million times over. And I'll be refreshing that blog page too, waiting for those new posts.
Yeah, they're coming. Yeah, it's hilarious. But I'm grateful that they want to be a part of it, because there was a certain time when physicians did not want to say anything. And so when I have physicians who say, yes, I want to be a part of it, I'm like, yes, we did it, this is pretty awesome. And it's also great to have such a supporting company behind you. And so, kudos to CannaSafe for offering me a position to be me.
Totally. And we love you for being you. Stick around after we're recording here. I want to say something to you off air, but Thank you again so much, Mieko. I really appreciate you. I'm so stoked for our viewers and our listeners to see this when it comes out. And I sincerely wish you and your loved ones all the best.
Thank you.
My thanks again to Mieko Perez for joining me. If you are a member of the cannabis community and have a story you want to share with us, we would love to hear from you. You can reach the show at hashitout@TRICHOMES.com. You can help others find the show by taking a moment to subscribe to the podcast and write a review. You can also join the discussion with industry insiders and get your voice heard by joining the community at TRICHOMES.com and following us on all social media. Hash It Out is produced by David Fortin and presented by TRICHOMES.com. I'm RJ Balde. Catch you later.